All right. We are back in the building. We are here in the new office of XD.com. We are at the 48 Birch Gate. And yes, for today, I'm your host with the most, Marcos, and I'm with Dr. Anish Mohammed. He is the co-founder and chief scientist, and he's just the head honcho of Panther Protocol, but he's also a man of various talents, and he's also a caffeine addict too. So yeah. Anyways, today we just want to talk about Panther Protocol, and we're just gonna try to dive in deep. But before we hit up Panther Protocol, Dr. Anish, thank you for stopping by.
You're most welcome. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Always, yeah. I always enjoy talking to you. And before we start talking about Panther Protocol, I know it's quite a comprehensive blockchain. So, yeah, I mean, before we go that, I just want the folks kind of know a little about your story. And I know you've been in various fields like cybersecurity, blockchain. I know there's several other industries too, but kind of just give us your origin story into the blockchain industry.
Sure. So the origin story is probably a bit weird. I've been interested in security and privacy so just to start off, I went to a med school. I'm from the same state that Marcos is, from Kerala. We have some entrance exams, and I happen to, unfortunately, it's a multiple choice question, and end up in the top 1 or 2 or 3, right? So unfortunately, because of that, I had to go to med school. And because of that, I had a slightly different journey to most people. Summary is, I've been interested in privacy for a very long time. I've been in Ski.Crypt since late 90s. So I met a lot of the initial crypto people, as in cryptographers and cyberpunks in the Ski.Crypt community. And in around 2000, I got a job working for Ericsson building micropayment systems. It was me writing libraries for them. So as part of that, I spent a lot of time understanding all the different payment systems and the challenges with payment systems. And I also ended up in the cryptography mailing list. So cryptography mailing list is the place where Satoshi actually posted his original paper. And I shall put my hand up and say, I saw the post. Didn't make much of it, read the paper, and just went on with whatever I was doing. So until 2010, 2011, when people started mining and they asked me questions, at that point in time, I was involved in the hackerspace in London. So a bunch of us decided, why don't we run a workshop? And I think Amir was the guy who actually volunteered, and then I turned up, and a bunch of people turned up. If you scourge the net, you will find postings of photos of all the usual suspects in hackerspace in London discussing this. And, then afterwards, a couple of years later, I ended up being an advisor to Ripple. So for 2013, October 17th, if I'm not mistaken, I became an advisor to Ripple. And then Ethereum happened. So when Ethereum happened, Victor Tron happened to be an acquaintance of mine. He asked me if I would help, and I volunteered. And I became a loose member of the Ethereum Swarm team by reviewing the orange paper and putting my name to the table. And then I was again involved in a design review of probably another 4 more. The one that is public is Dev.io, and then a couple of other ones I did. For legal reasons, I probably can't name them. Then dApps, I was involved in probably 18 to 20 well-known ones: Boson, Ocean, Billa, Big Job. I mean, a long list. So mostly I've been involved in design of protocol, the thing called token engineering. So was initially involved in trying to teach other people what this, norm called token engineering was. So I have given one of the first talks on token engineering in London for the token engineering meetup group, and similarly a couple of the few talks, early talks in Berlin as well, and given a couple of talks in the global token engineering meetup. Mostly trying to build protocols, helping others build protocols. My interest is mostly in protocol design. Token engineering, I consider it like part and parcel of protocol design. I have an interest in secure multi-party compute as well as proof systems.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No, hey, thanks for sharing that history, though. Not many people who I come across have that kind of history that goes, way back.
Oh,
So
in between, I actually spent time in a bunch of cryptography research institutes. So from 2001, I spent time in Indian Statistical Institute, the cryptography research group. And then I went and did a master's and a PhD program. So yeah, so there you go. So I spent like 6, 7 years in between doing cryptography research. So
wow. Yeah. No, what's impressing me about you is, you're actually one of the few people I come across who have, it was kind of like this I guess, select few, elite few. I don't know how you want to describe it, but definitely go back way early. So I want the community to know about you, and you have quite a long history. So, and also definitely you've been involved with a lot of protocols, and of course I know you have worked in other capacities as well. So anyways, thank you for sharing that, and let's get into Panther protocols,
sure.
ZKP. So could you give just a brief description about Panther protocol?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. So I kind of divide the world into two halves. I mean,
Please share it. Yeah, sure.
yeah, the bigger half is the people who come from the traditional finance world,
Yeah.
and the smaller half is the people who come from the DeFi world. The people who come from the traditional finance world, I would describe Panther as a dark pool on demand with support for KYC and selective disclosure. Essentially, you can actually do KYC, and then if you choose to reveal a set of transactions, you can do so. And dark pool is a construct that's very well known in traditional finance. If you are from DeFi and you want to be explained, I would say it's private. It's private DeFi. So
Okay.
you have private DeFi strategies, and same thing. The extra bit is KYC and selective disclosure. So that's a summary, one line each.
All right. Okay. No, that's good enough. No, that's good. That's good. Now, because I've been reading quite a lot, from the light papers. I do have to read it twice because I'm one of those normies, trying to figure out this.
I'm sorry, it wasn't. The idea was we write a white paper and we write a light paper. The light paper was supposed to be. We actually did a second iteration of light paper. The light paper is supposed to be aimed at people, so people can actually read, get a sense of what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
The white paper was supposed to be like the kind of description of what we are doing to a level that anybody who has time and has the inclination to spend more time to understand it deeply has the ability to do. So that's where we look at it.
Oh yeah, no, sure, agreed. Yeah. No, definitely agree. So I guess for me now I'm starting to dive in deeper, trying to learn a little bit of zero knowledge proof and all that stuff. So, but I guess one thing I know for sure is definitely going to get a lot of attention, because now even regular folks too, they're starting to be more aware of zero knowledge proof. So. So there is a lot of I guess interest in terms of privacy and stuff. So and anyways, let's dive in. Let's look into. Can you just tell us the people behind Panther Protocol? Other than yourself, I know you got some couple of people in your team. Could you just talk about them and their roles behind Panther Protocol?
Okay, so let me walk you through. So when we started out, I had my co-founder. So he has some exposure to crypto. He has worked in various projects. People in this part of the world might recognize him as Gabriel Abed's co-founder from one of his previous projects called Bit. So and the other part is they had I think they have pretty good amount of success in terms of CBDCs and working with governments. Mm-hmm. So ours was a slightly different case. And then I convinced my chief architect, Vadim, to join us. I also convinced my PhD office mate, Alon, to join us. So that was like the initial team. Mm-hmm. Then I slowly and steadily tried convincing other people. So now what I have is on the research side. So I have kind of three kind of things I do. Like as a co-founder, I look after all the things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. Then as a CTO, I designed the protocol. The first iteration of the protocol I designed by hand myself. In the later iterations, it's more and more things are happening. Like I don't keep track of every piece of it. Like, the highest level of it was actually done by me by hand. I'm looking for my notebook here. I can't find it, but somewhere in this room is a notebook which actually has, my handwriting and like a roadmap and everything, right? Like literally.
Yeah.
So I have a research group on one side, which is kind of 6 people right now. So we have an applied mathematician. She is a Thiel fellow. We have a very loose affiliation with her. Then, I mean, in fact, actually, I have like 8 people in that sense of speaking, because I could count on Nikora as kind of working halfway between research and halfway between implementation. And Vijay, again, the same. So Vijay is the founder of Mackie project. He's a good friend, and he's been very kind to help us. Then officially, the set of people that are there is applied mathematician, the game theorist. Then in total, if I count myself in, there are like 4 cryptographers or such. So 3 from Royal Holloway, 1 from his undergrad from Stanford. So we have that bunch of people. So the skill set is the Stanford alum person actually is an elliptic curve person. Mark is Mark, the lead crypto person, is a MPC person. Arnold, my PhD office mate, he's now kind of transitioned into kind of an advisory position. He is a protocol person, and I do bits of protocol primitives and done some work on elliptic curves. So master's thesis was attacks on elliptic curves. So I'm kind of like do a broad brush thing. So that's like the research team. So we kind of look at all the problems we have from a research perspective. So, say for example, game theory. We look at token models. We look at a pricing model for privacy. Pricing privacy. A lot of those things are done in the game theoretic aspect. That's actually done there. The applied mathematician is like, if you have a problem that we think. So our applied mathematician is doing a PhD in algebraic number theory, mostly curves and multidimensional surfaces. So, some weird operations in ZKPs using elliptic curves go into that bunch. So that's kind of where we do all those things. So currently we have some involvement in Z-Prize. We are a sponsor for Z-Prize. We kind of work with them to help them in facade and implement. It's essentially hash functions, increasing the speed or increasing the throughput of hash functions in ZKPs. Then on the other side, we have, you probably have met Safe. Yes, you met Safe.
Yes,
that's how we met.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
so Safe is the head of products. And
he's the most important guy in Panther protocol, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So then we have Vadim. Vadim is the chief architect. And then we have a bunch of architects that work with us. So we have somebody who joined me from my first it's almost officially the first ZKP startup I had, because we raised some money. We couldn't actually do all the things we wanted. We didn't really deploy all the capital. So in theory, we started out, did a bunch of work, but really didn't do any legal stuff to set things up.
Yeah.
So he has been working in ZKP since 2016. He's one of the architects that we have in our team. Then we have 2 other architects that are there in addition. Adam, who's with us. And then there is somebody else who's there as well. So that's like Sanjay. So that's like 3 architects. One of them is like a half cryptographer, half architect. I would say Adam is like he can do crypto, but he's not a cryptographer as such. The first person is like his master's was on some cryptography related stuff. So and he has been very used to doing this since 2016, so very experienced. And then we have a couple of product people. So, at least 2, you can count 3 sometimes. So it's like both of them, they report into Safe. So these people actually help Safe look after all the products in that sense. Sure. So we kind of break down Panther into different products so we can actually manage and focus. Then there are a bunch of people who are front-end people, Solidity people, full stack people. And that's how I kind of describe it. And on the non-tech side, there's operations people, there's finance, there's HR, there is everything else.
Okay. So yeah, so it seems like you got quite a big team, really, right?
I wouldn't say big team, 20. If I am being very optimistic, 20 people in tech, and similar number, 18 to 20 depends on how it is. So it's like, say for example, Chris, who's the UI UX person, depending upon the day, he could be working for us or he could be working on the other side, right? So when he works for us, I count him in. So the way I describe it is like a ClickUp, which is like a resource tracking tool. If your name is tracked against us, we track you, we call you as part of our team. So there is like a free floating two project managers in house. So again, these people get to this side of the in a very optimistic day.
Yeah,
we count Chris and the two product managers on this side, and that'll be okay. And they will lose too, right? And when they are not working with us, then they go back there and they'll be bigger than us, generally speaking, right? So that's how this works. It's like, there's floating population who actually help us doing certain things. And when they help us doing things, we count them in. I mean, pay and everything happens from the same place, irrespective of where you work. But it's just that, we count them in and like,
No. Actually, this is really, this is really, to me, it's kind of cool because I love how you're creating. I mean, the way I see it is really like kind of like a world-class team, but at the same time too, like you're trying to utilize people, remotely and just getting things done. So
it is a difficult challenge to actually hire people in ZKP, right?
Yeah.
So in total globally, there are a couple of hundred people who could actually do what could be done, right?
Okay.
So again, I think my photo is missing. So that's a photo that I have of ZK Proof 2019, and there is close to 120 to 160 people in that photo, and that photo kind of represents pretty much all the serious ZK people in the world, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. Wow. That's oh wow. That's a small club.
That's a very small club, right? So essentially, what is important for us is to try hire people who are really good. Some of them in that, actually, we tried to hire a couple of people in that list. I mean, actually, they reached out to us, and we couldn't close them because of we are not very rich. Just to give you the context, so you understand when I say very rich. So imagine comparing ourselves to say a protocol like Elio Series A, Series B raised 200 mil. So the valuation enormous. They have lots of watches, right? We in total raised like 30 mil. So, and we don't have the kind of capability to pay people like what everybody else will offer them, right? So
really competitive. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, very, very competitive. And to make this a bit more challenging, what has also happened is the fact that in the past 6 months or so, people like Polygon have actually put in a reasonable amount of money. So when I say reasonable amount of money, they spend $2 million in Hermes, 400 million in Mer protocol, and a bunch in others. So that's actually increased the total amount. So if you only have like a couple of hundred people, and this much money is going to flow in, then it results in.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. No. Yeah. Man, I can. I can imagine like just building that kind of world-class team. Man, it is challenging because I mean, like you guys must be like high in demand, like not just from the crypto side, but I'm sure like other Web2 big companies or even governments too, right? With that?
It's not that big in Web2 companies yet. That's a good thing, thankfully for us. If that I would really struggle. Like it's mostly So far it's mostly companies in normal crypto space that's actually So that's kind of in one sense is okay, in another sense is not so okay, but it helps us survive. So yes, it's hard to hire, hard to make, hard to retain. The only thing I could offer is ability to learn. A very fair, very open environment. So, and our team overall, this is one of the things that you will notice is like slightly older for any crypto protocol. So most crypto protocols, most people are in their 20s. Surprisingly, in our team, most people are in their 30s, and there are a few in the 40s and a few in 50s. So our lead architect is in his 50s, and Sanjay is in his 50s. So it's like a older demographic in one sense of speaking, and very diverse as well. So it's like we at one point in time, like a quarter of the almost quarter of who we used to work with was female as well. So, but now it has changed because some of them actually moved out and they want to do other things. Like it's hard to keep people like in a very competitive space. Like
because when I think of like the zero knowledge space, I mean, like it's so competitive.
Yeah.
So then that kind of leads me to the question about just for the regular folks out there, like could you explain what is zero knowledge proof, and also could you also share why it is important?
Okay, so it's a very simple mechanism. The mechanism is about making a claim and proving the claim is true without revealing any knowledge about how it's done, right? So imagine this room. This room has one door. I say to you, Marcos, I have the ability to escape from this room without using the door. So I am the prover. You are the verifier. So what I do is, along with you, go outside the room, stand outside. So I'm over there.
Yeah.
And then you literally, close the door behind me, right? Once you close the door behind me, you know that I'm inside the room, you're outside the room.
Yeah.
And I can only come out through the door. And now you wait for 5 minutes and you see me outside. Now you know that my claim that I could actually get outside the room without using the door is valid.
Yeah.
But you don't know how you did it. That's a zero knowledge, right? This is a zero knowledge thing. So essentially, you have the ability to prove something to somebody with a high assurance that your claim is true, you are who you are, all the kind of things, without actually revealing how you do it, right? So it could be something like you want to do a password authentication mechanism, you replace it with zero knowledge, right? So typical problem with password authentication mechanism is like if the password is compromised, they could use that to authenticate themselves in, because when the authentication happens, somebody has to send the password. Whereas here, there is no such thing happening. There is no password being sent. Whatever we send, you can copy it 1,000 times. Like the room experiment. Like we can run this experiment 100 times, but you would never gain any extra knowledge about how I escape from the room, right? So that's the thing.
All right. Okay. So that's zero knowledge proof. And could you share like
proof? Yeah.
Yeah, but could you share also like the importance of zero knowledge proof? I mean,
okay. So the importance of zero knowledge proof is the following: like typically speaking, when you actually prove something, as I said, you have to reveal some information, right? So Ashokan, I think his PhD thesis in 1996, he kind of had this thing: privacy versus authenticity, right? So you can either have one of the two. What zero knowledge proofs allows you to do is have both. You can have privacy and authenticity. You can actually prove with a very high level of assurance that your claim is valid. So you are who you are, while you still remain private. As in, like the claim is just a function of who you are, not like who you are in the fullest sense, right? Like everything about you is not going to be revealed to anybody. So that's kind of very powerful in the sense, like that information arbitrage normally happens when somebody has to prove to somebody else. So imagine, you have this, trust problem as well. Like when you have a password-based authentication, you have to trust the other party that, they don't do attacks on your password that's stored. Like, they actually literally could see what your password is, right? Yeah. And that's like information reversal that, at some point in time, you could actually turn around and say, oh, you actually did it. You need to trust them to not do that to you, right? Whereas in a prove or verify mechanism using a zero knowledge, it's kind of hard to actually fake somebody, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting construct.
Yeah, wow. That is, no, thank you for sharing that about the importance. I think maintain your privacy, but also same time to authenticity too. And I guess I guess I tend to gravitate towards the idea of privacy, but also now starting to see the value of authenticity, especially in this space too. So I wanted to kind of like actually I was go back to the light paper, and I think on the third page, one of the statement talks about the problem with layer one blockchains and private finance. It says over here, in a rush to build the future of finance, we have neglected to preserve a core piece of the human experience, privacy. So,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of pretty straightforward. Like, let's think of it this way. Like, here's my wallet, right? Yeah. So when I go to the bank, I am done. A KYC is done. Then I'm either given money, right, which is not tracked.
Yeah.
Once I'm given money, I can spend it. And it's not right. The usability in that sense should be identical with or without blockchain, right? There should be no reason. There's nothing gained. That's what the real argument is. There's nothing gained by having a behavior where everything is visible to everybody, especially in adversarial setting, right? So if you think about the surveillance economy where Amazons of the world, Googles of the world, Twitters of the world are ingesting all the data and actually running a machine learning arbitrage on an average human, giving them all your financial data, I don't think it's the wisest thing on earth to do, right? And also the construct of privacy is important for governance. So it's like, when everybody talks about democracy, firstly, everybody says like democracy implies that everybody votes. That's very important. The second part of it, and a more important part of it, democracy only works if privacy exists. So your vote is the vote that nobody else in that sense, unless you reveal something, right?
Yeah.
So this construct is like very valuable and important for society to exist, but at the same time, sometimes people and builders of systems kind of forget that this is an important part of it.
Yeah, because the reason I was looking to that is because some of my friends was to kind of explain to me about like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They both are public blockchains. Basically, in many ways, like companies like CipherTrace or Chain Analysis or any blockchain analytic companies, they can track it, right? Like track the transactions and all that stuff. So in terms of when it comes to financial transactions, I think that kind of if you're a business, that puts yourself exposed, So I guess from a business standpoint, I think, but the way I see it, privacy is important. So, but anyway, now the next question actually I want to ask is, now, as a business, we also, dealing with, with law, with governments, and other side is the compliance side. So, could you kind of like share with us, or your insights, when it comes to privacy versus the compliance dilemma?
Okay. Could you repeat the question for me? Are you asking, what is privacy versus compliance? Or
there's this because like in our current society, people, they want to protect their privacy, but also we also have to be, how do you say, compliant as well in terms of like say taxes or some other. Let me see. Actually, I think I did have a note. Just give me one. Because I remember. Because actually the question is about because I think in the light paper there was like a section about privacy versus compliance dilemma.
Yeah, what it refers to there is the following. Like in Roomba, I was just talking about the wallet, right? This wallet is a classic example of privacy versus compliance kind of thing. If you use a bank and you do KYC, and if your KYC is kind of how could I describe? If your KYC is done at that point in time, you don't have privacy. KYC at the point of KYC is privacy lost, right? And then when you do the transactions, you are allowed to have privacy. And compliance implies that you have to reveal a lot of information. So in a zero knowledge sense, you could actually have both. That's the beauty of zero knowledge, right? So you can actually have privacy, and you can have compliance, and you can actually prove in zero knowledge that a particular condition was met or wasn't met, right? So this is what I really like about zero knowledge.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And speaking of liking about zero knowledge, could you share some, I guess, use cases of not just zero knowledge, but especially with Panther protocol?
Okay, so Panther protocol, to start with, the way I describe is, we want to actually enable people to have private strategies, right? So the private strategy could be, let's take the case of current economy. Imagine you are on an L1, a blockchain or a layer one, where there is no native DeFi. And effectively what is happening is you have a bunch of assets there. So imagine you have $100 and you are on a layer one where, you don't have anything that gives you yield. So now you are losing your money. So given 9-10% inflation, you're losing your money.
Yeah.
What you want to do is go to some layer one where there's native DeFi, use your assets, let some yield and come back. So that's a very simple strategy. So in that sense, what I'm hoping is like the users of the layer one would actually use Panther and come in, get C assets, go into say Ethereum, stake it on some protocol, get the things back, then go back in, then convert back into the native assets. This assumption here is the following: that there are opportunities available in other layer ones. Very small assumption. Similarly, it's going to be cheap. It could be cheap. We can actually make it cheap, right?
Yeah.
And in honestly, the user of the layer one will keep pretty much 99.x% of the upside of whatever they get. Panther is only going to charge 30 to 100 pips. Depends on how many hops you take, right? If you just do one hop, you will charge 30 pips. It's pretty much in line with what Uniswap does. But if you do multiple hops, then we have to pay the charges for all those things.
Yeah.
Unless it's completely inside in the chain tax. If it's inside in the chain tax, we might be able to do some optimization. But otherwise, if you do hops, then we will have to do the straps in that sense. But in general, what it means is you make your money. We charge you a small amount. You keep all of it. And then if you can think, this is for all normal average users, right? You could be a slightly more sophisticated user, hedge fund, family office. You want to develop strategies and you want to deploy strategies. So if you do that, it becomes, it's more useful for you to shield your strategy from other people, both in terms of people's ability to copy your strategy and even the possibility of doing attacks on you with MEV attacks, right? So in that sense, Panther helps you both ways, right? Both the normal users and a slightly more sophisticated user. And when it comes to the stage where if institutions get interested enough to get into DeFi, then we have a situation even more interesting where they are looking for things that support KYC and AML and have selective disclosure because they have to actually disclose. So Panther would very much fit into that. I don't know, the current version of Panther would be the one-to-one map in the sense they have some requirements of pools and things like that because of regulatory arbitrage. So it might end up actually having multi-asset pools having peculiar characteristics, which might or might not be supported in the decentralized framework because we currently have a very decentralized framework. So that implies that we don't enforce anything, right?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, as far as one of the key uses for Panther protocol, ZKP would be for DeFi or say a private crypto company, and then you also mentioned about AML compliance, transactional monitoring.
I wouldn't call it transaction monitoring. Essentially, if you have the ability to prove to a third party a set of transactions came from you, so transaction monitoring happens on their side, but you prove that this set of transactions came from me or you in that sense.
Okay, yeah. What about, but could you see Panther protocol be used for, say, private voting or
It's somewhat outside of the scope of Panther protocol, right? Like
okay.
what Panther protocol is doing is essentially our objective when we set about doing this is very much using zero knowledge proofs to actually provide privacy for DeFi. Can we do other things? Absolutely yes. Are we planning to do those? I don't think so. Because as I was describing, there are only so many people who do ZKPs, and there's only so much money we have, and the cost of those people is incredibly high. For us to do anything else, it's very difficult. And our construct is raising money using a description on a white paper, which doesn't have any of those things. So,
gotcha.
We have a bunch of people who we have signed contracts with the agreement explicit that they will deliver this. So when you want to change something, it becomes more and more difficult. While very interesting, but I don't foresee that happening in the immediate future. But who knows? Market is the market is, and then people will negotiate with us. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. But also, I mean, I was thinking of private voting, but also I was trying to come up with maybe some other say traditional businesses like say for example like insurance companies. Because I know they use a lot of data.
You can actually do a lot of this private computes. That is always possible. The problem typically in doing all those things is there's a prove or verify mechanism, and somebody has to do this setup of the circuits and all those things, and there's a verification that's required. So first, let me walk you through a typical scenario. So Romba is talking to you about the first zero knowledge chapter that we're working on. At that point, let's looking at this. Like, can we actually, if there is any data that's underlying and there is some risk associated with something, can you actually, use zero knowledge to prove, what the risk is within bounds without revealing much of the data? So imagine airline insurance. You can actually get insurance for things without revealing which part is from where, who is flying what, all those things, right? At the same time, the problem we have is like, as I was describing, the total number of people who understand zero knowledge is limited. The total number of people who can audit is going to be even more limited. In fact, I have a blog post I wrote on the article on LinkedIn, which kind of map behind smart contract audits kind of describes some of the challenges. So overall, then you have this challenge of a party who doesn't understand. So the insurance has to understand all of this, right? The underwriting risk. So A, they need to understand. B, they need to, have somebody who can actually understand all of this and verify it for them. And C, there should be legal precedents. We don't have any of these things. So it's like you can do a lot of the things. You can have insurance. You could have, supply chain.
Maybe even credit scoring or something. That could also.
All of those things. Yes.
Okay.
But all of this is literally just outside of definitely Panther protocol. It requires a significant amount of integration with the existing system. So if you were to do like in a supply chain thing, you have to do integration with the ERP in the system. So you have to do an integration of approver into the SAP system. So the SAP becomes approver and you run a verifier. And as soon as the contract is signed, the lawyer should be explained what the SEC is doing. That's like a gap between. Generally, lawyers are not the most technically savvy people on earth.
Sure.
So,
that's interesting.
The fraction of lawyers who understand ZKP would be incredibly small, I would assume.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. No, but this is quite fascinating, and also I'm just like, there's a lot of steps involved to integrate Panther like with traditional businesses or any other businesses really or industries, right? Okay. Oh wow. Okay. No, but this is good to know. There are use cases for Panther protocol, even outside of your crypto DeFi space, So, or I guess I think the two main buzzwords are Web3 and DeFi. So I'm still trying to figure out, what is the Web3 is, and Jack Dorsey comes up with Web5. I don't know.
It's one of those things that, you never get to know everything in the fuller picture. In any fast-moving ecosystem, one of the biggest problems is the time it takes for somebody to understand what it is and the time it takes for new development to happen. So literally, that is a sliding window, right? And the front end of it is like new things coming in. The back end of it is like, old things becoming obsolete, right?
Oh yeah.
And in the zero knowledge world, this is a very fast moving thing. So in fact, there is a 2019 article written by Eli Van Sassen, who's one of the founders of Starknet and the chief scientist. I think the Cambrian revolution of zero knowledge proofs or something like that. That's pretty interesting. It actually gives you like a summary of zero knowledge proof evolution in the last 5 years, which is very, very interesting and really fast. And it actually gives you like a ringside view of how fast things move and how things are. So
no. I mean, personally for me, like I'm looking into all this stuff in crypto and blockchain, and regular people like me and many others, like we are having a hard time catching up. But it's still fascinating to see how things are changing, like with regards to how it's affecting the internet, our information, and also the future of finance too. So there's so many things are happening in the space. So yeah, I definitely love this stuff. But anyway, could you share us? Do you have like a roadmap for
the thing is,
sorry,
what did you say?
Oh no,
I was saying the title of the talk, the title of the article is a Cambrian explosion of crypto proofs. That's that was published in 2020 by Eli Van Sassen. That's the thing that I would recommend. Worth the read for people who are new to zero knowledge to understand what it is, right?
Okay.
You were asking me about something.
Yeah. No, but definitely later on, definitely would love to get the links and also share it in the description and stuff. But actually, I was just kind of curious about Panther Protocol's roadmap. Now we have 2022.
So my plan so far, again, as I said, like the original roadmap was hand drawn by me, and now the current roadmap, I think I have some of it over here. Let me see. Yes, that's. I'm still looking for it. One sec. Let me.
No, take your time. We got time.
No, it's always difficult to find something when you want it. Okay, I can't find it. So the immediate plan, that's there is to deliver a few bridges. So bridge number one will be for Songbird, which is like the test network for Flare. Then Flare, then Near, and there are a couple of other protocols we are talking to. At the same time, we will, in addition to be building bridges, we'll be building interchain DEX, and that's when all of the bridges are either merged into interchain DEX or they all are separate standing, depending upon the request of the layer one people. I would consider the roadmap complete in that sense. It's like there's always something we could add, but generally speaking, interchain DEX, bridges, private bridges, interchain DEX, all the rest of the stuff done. I call it a day.
All right.
Okay. 2023 is most likely when it's going to happen. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So I think but is there anything anything more we need to cover about Panther Protocol? Like some interesting facts, or maybe about the token?
There's always an open invite for people to come and join us. So I'm always on the lookout for very good people. So I generally have three things I look for. Number one is integrity. So simply put, for me, and I've pretty much hired everybody in tech team. They're mostly people who actually worked with me in the past or come across me at conferences and kind of things. Mm-hmm. So integrity is key. I really don't want to be the person who understands something that's gone wrong after the fact has happened, and the people should have the courage to tell me, Anish, we are a big boo-boo, and tell me what it is before anybody else comes up to me and asks. Right, like that's what my first thing is. That's like integrity. Because like we are building a protocol. The protocol is going to have billions of dollars going through. So you need to trust a person with $1 billion in that sense.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Secondly, there's this question of, intellectual horsepower, whichever way you measure it. Right?
Okay.
The more advanced the things are, it requires a higher level of mathematical sophistication. So, you need to have the ability to deal with the kind of math and other things that we need to deal with. And last of it is the competence in doing what you need to do. If it's programming, if otherwise it's whatever it is. But in general, that is something that's learnable. The first two is kind of hard because number one is having is so-called intellectual honesty and integrity is almost impossible to be trained, right? You come with it and you keep slide with it. And IQ or intellectual horsepower more or less remains the same throughout one's life. You kind of decay with that. But so you understand what I'm saying. So if there are people who are interested, who want to work with a team who are world-class, very open, so if you come work, especially in my team, part of the team, which is like the tech team, is like you have all the freedom you can get. There are people who will be happy to answer your questions, but you can ask a question once or twice or thrice. If it's beyond thrice, then we have a problem. We are a startup, we can't afford to teach people as such, right? But open place to work. We would love any kind of diversity of any kind, and that'll be great.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, then definitely. Yeah. Anyways, we are at the end. So could you share us, outside of Panther protocol, what do you do for fun?
I don't think I do much. So in the past, I have involvement in open source drones and things like that. So I was a contributor to the Arducopter dev list and a moderator DIY drones for a while. So I have a massive collection of drones. I have a lot of interest in electronics. So I had an electronics lab. Then I used to live back in London. So I have none of those things here. I also used to read quite a lot, and my shelves are kind of empty now. But if you look at my shelves back home in London, that's full of books. So I also have some interest in astrophotography in that sense. So I have a couple of telescopes.
All right.
So you could think of a more geeky end of the spectrum where I'm interested in aeronautical models, drones, fixed wings, rovers. 3D printers. So I have all these things in my possession, which I kind of play with. So I spend a lot of time thinking about things. Also, I have some spare time interest in philosophy. I happen to be a published philosopher, published a couple of papers with my co-author. So yeah, all my interests take my time. So I consider hobbies rather than
interesting.
Anything that doesn't give you immediate pay is kind of considered a hobby by me.
Nice.
We're doing it for fun, so it should be considered a hobby.
Yeah. Because you mentioned about philosophers, so are there? Do you have a favorite philosopher you follow?
That's a tricky question in some sense of speaking. So my co-author for my first philosophy paper is now the predecessor to John Luke Nancy, and he now teaches in Sorbonne and other places. So yeah, I am more influenced by a bunch of Eastern philosophers and a bunch. When I say Eastern, it's Middle Eastern in that sense, from the Middle East, and a bunch of philosophers from the early 20th century. So Heidegger and other kind of people on that side, and then Ghazali and other people on the other side. So I'm one of the weird set of people who kind of straddles between the two.
Oh, interesting. Okay, man, you're a man of many talents and interests. I like the part we talking about drones and 3D printers too. Those are fun too. Those are definitely a lot of fun. So yeah, but anyways, we are about to end this. But before we go, how can people learn more about Panther Protocol as well as about yourself?
Myself will be a difficult problem because I don't have that many pages that I host. I tried to have a web page for myself a long while ago. I don't think it's still there. Mostly everything that's out there on the web is hosted by other people, so I have no ability or control of any of them. So Google me, generally speaking, I think the best 10, 20 pages are mine. If you put specific terms like blockchain, drones, topics which I'm interested in, you'll find my talks and
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah.
Otherwise, finding. Sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead. My bad. Sorry.
I was about to say, for finding about Panther actually has a HTTPS pantherprotocol.io. There's a bunch of blog posts. We have Telegram channels, Discord channels. generally all of those are responsive. People are there. That there's community, and the community would respond. And generally speaking, the spirit to a large degree of the founders and the team is represented by the community. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you active on, say, LinkedIn or Twitter?
I am reasonably active on LinkedIn,
Okay.
reasonably active on Telegram, reasonably active on Signal, reasonably active on Keybase. I don't go out of my way, and Twitter. So you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can find me on.
Sure. Definitely, I'll share the links below for people to learn more about you. You're quite the interesting man here in Dubai.
Thank you.
According to the legends here in Dubai. The tales.
I'm not the perpetuator of the legends of any kind. As I said, I don't even host. I think there's one page I host for myself, and that is out of date by 5 or 6 years, right? So there's a massive gap in me keeping track of what I do. So probably I've given like a couple of hundred talks and given taught at least in 20 or 30 universities. And,
Okay.
So in the past, I've had a quasi-academic position. I was head of research for SRS Berlin Information Sciences Institute. I still have a kind of an adjunct faculty position in Harbor Space in Barcelona. Lockdown kind of tied down a lot of these things, and the SRS Berlin Institute actually got closed down. So, and prior to that, before lockdown, I have actually taught at MIT. I've taught at CMU. One of my friends used to teach a course at CMU, and I used to give lectures on and off basis. And I've taught in most of the normal, well-known places. I've taught, all the way from ML for finance to blockchain to other things. So.
Okay. All right. So I guess in the more like the academic space, there are a lot of videos, a lot of talks.
Possibly. I don't know how many they've published, but yeah, there's lots of. I've given lots of talks on any topic I get interested. I try, share my knowledge, be challenged by people. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just if any of you folks are here in Dubai on a humble Saturday, we get to meet up at somewhere in Marina with Dr. Anish. It's called Coffee at Crypto. So just, a bunch of guys just having fellowship, talking about crypto, blockchain, and the mysteries.
Don't say guys, that's not true. We actually have as well, yes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The guys and gals. Yes. Just talking about all the mysteries of crypto and blockchain, so, and which is good. I enjoyed that, everyone sharing, their experiences and, the challenges. So I like that. I think that's what we need, especially here in Dubai, as this place is starting to grow and, the community starting to, get bigger, so, but yeah, anyways, let's end this with Dr. Anish sharing some words of wisdom for us regular folks and people, people in the crypto markets. Right now things are bearish. So I know you've been through. I mean, you've been to maybe 4 bear markets, I think.
I don't know, 3 or 4. I can't remember.
3 or 4? Yeah, sure.
Starting 2012.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So yeah. Any words of wisdom?
I have no words of wisdom. There is nothing you can do other than sit tight and won't go through it.
All right. Okay. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. So, but anyways, I think the way I see it is, my personal belief is, especially in the bear markets, usually the weak hands, the crooked hands, they all kind of flood away or wash away. But I think usually in the bear markets, I personally believe that, the real tech, the real projects, real developments, and real value is usually created in the bear markets. Is that something that you would agree with, or?
Generally speaking, if belief were the thing that drives the market, then the people who really struggle through the crypto windows or the bear markets are the people who really believe in what they do. So if that is all that's required to build tech, absolutely, your thesis will be valid.
Well, fair enough. Anyways, it's about that time. Thank you all for coming on to the XT cast, and I'd like to thank Dr. Anish for taking his time to educate us and share his experience. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Anyways, everybody, we gotta go. We got Dr. Anish has things to do. He has to build a lot of amazing stuff. So, anyways, y'all be good, y'all be safe, and you have an amazing Friday and an amazing weekend. And we will talk to you soon. Bye for now.